Yeah, here comes Amos. Now Amos Moses was a Cajun. He lived by himself in the swamp. He hunted alligator for a living. He just knock him in the head with a stump. The Louisiana law gon' get you, Amos. It ain't legal hunting alligator down in the swamp, boy. Now everybody blamed his old man for making him mean as a snake. When Amos Moses was a boy, his daddy would use him for alligator bait. Tie a rope around his waist and throw him in the swamp. Alligator bait in the Louisiana bayou. About 45 minutes southeast of Thibodaux, Louisiana, lived a man called Doc Mousse and his pretty wife Hannah. Well, they raised up a son that could eat up his weight in groceries. Named him after a man of the cloth. Called him Amos Moses. Yeah. Now all the folks around South Louisiana said Amos was a hell of a man. He could trap the biggest, the meanest alligator and just use one hand. That's all he got left, called alligator bit it. Left arm gone clean up to the elbow. Well, the sheriff got wind that Amos was in the swamp trapping alligator skin. So he snuck in the swamp, gonna get the boy, but he never come out again. Well, I wonder where the Louisiana sheriff went to. Well, you can so get lost in the Louisiana bayou. About 45 minutes southeast of Thibodaux, Louisiana, lived a cat called Doc Mills South and his pretty wife Hannah. Well, they raised up a son that could eat up his weight in groceries. Named him after a man of the cloth. Called him Amos Moses. Sit down on him, Amos. Make it count, son. About 45 minutes southeast of Thibodaux, Louisiana, lived a man called Doc Mills.
All right, now, everybody, quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind. You're going to dance until your feet fall off. You're not able to stand up any longer. But we're going to have a show.
Hello, Mixer. How we doing this evening? Got ourselves a lovely looking rabbit here that I picked up yesterday. And happy Easter, everyone. Gonna be doing rabbit stew. Even though I think this is probably very reasonably resourced, I am going to be wearing gloves. Because touching raw meat rabbit can be an issue. And let's hope these gloves are still good. These were petrified in my trailer. It's the last two I've got. Alright. Butcher here, so kindly stuff the legs inside of the carcass here. See what we've got here. Still not completely unfrozen here. And I can't quite tell. I don't know if the... Alright. Some extra goodies here. We got the lungs in here. We got the kidneys in here. Pull those all out. We've got my poultry board out here. And so I'll start by getting at the legs here. There is a gland around here that I'm looking for, and I don't know if necessarily 100% where it's at. There should be two glands on the end of her. They may have been cleaned off by the butcher already that are extremely stinky. So you don't want those in your final product. I think we're okay there. Alright. The same thing here with the front legs. And then we're left with our saddle. There's not much here to grab against the ribs, but I'm trying to get myself started here. I'm pulling meat down along the ribs. Plan here is I'm going to break all the bones down as much as possible here. I'll take the meat off of the main carcass here and make a quick stock. That's why I'm starting a little bit early with the bones. Speaking of that, I should have my oven on. Use clean finger here. Turn the fan on though, so oven's on 400 and fan's on low. Let's get some of this meat out of the way for the moment. Work on the rest of this. Trying to skip that bit of silver skin there on the meat. Or veins or tendons, whatever that was. Ooh, went down the wrong side of the bones there. Here's where you get into the good tenderloin like meat of the rabbit here. Just working my way around the spine here. Just sort of got multiple lobes to it. It's sort of a hard one to cut around. So there we have my very much butchered up saddle of the rabbit. So we got one nice lobe on one side and another nice lobe on the side, and some more fat here that so this is the more tender meat here, obviously, that's around the center mass of the body. This is going to take much less time to cook than the rest of it. This is sort of the like quick steak or grill items of the rabbit. And the legs, which have seen the most use, are going to be the more low and slow and on. Take all that meat, put that over here. There's a little bit of meat there, but that's mostly bone. If you look closely, there's a line of meat that's in there that I could have probably dug out if I really wanted to be really, really precise about it. Then you hit that comes down into two sort of sub ribs here on either side. So debating if I'm done with gloves or not here. Anyways, there is this that needs to be done. This is not going to get roasted just because of the glands in the back end. Same thing with that. Don't want any now flavors from those. Just going to take the whole sections away. I mean, they're extremely small little glands to come off the back end and just underneath the front legs of the animal. I guess it's underneath the chin too. Don't really see the head that often. So, but these go in the compost or in the trash. Get rid of both of these actually. Close the bedroom door. And pan, piece of parchment, throw this guy in the oven. Clean up everything that was dealing with the raw rabbit. Make sure we're all sanitary here. Okay, where are we going to start with things here? We're going to be making sauce in here. Going to be making an actual stew in here. So, I guess I'll cut up some stock veg here to start. Don't really have much in the way of onion available in the home right now. Available around here right now. I don't know if you heard me say that. My hand is steaming. I'll probably do a stick or two more for the actual stew itself, but this is just for making a small little batch of rabbit stock. I'll start sweating those a little bit. Got some nice dark carrots. Now, again, just a quick chop up some of these for the stock. Oops. Hi there, hummingbird. Bit of salt. A little bit of oil to help the cooking. So I picked up these lovely things here from the farmer's market this morning. Gonna use these with our stew as well. Might even throw the greens in there, though they're looking a little sad. It's sort of funny how some things last like 10 times longer from the farmer's market, and other things actually don't last near as long, or actually will be worse when you're there at the market. I mean, a lot of greens you'll be careful about, but when it comes to bunches of stuff, the tops on the bunches of stuff is usually just junk at the markets. Granted, at the supermarkets it's disappeared, but so I got the carcass in the oven roasting away here and that going. And my hope was to get the stock going here by 4:30 so I could do my normal cooking and all that after 4:30 here. Thank you for all the lovely hosts at the beginning of this channel. I did my stream today. I didn't really mention that, but I think Juma and Mrs. Toggs and E-Wizard all hosted me early on. It's a small batch of stock, so I'm not using a ton of water here. A couple of bay leaves. Thank you for the host, Rhino. Let's see, anything else I want to throw in there? Maybe a couple whole peppercorns. Yeah, happy Easter. You got our... Not going to touch it, not supposed to touch raw rabbit with your hands, but you got forelegs and hind legs, and we got the saddle meat. I've got the rest of the carcass in the oven roasting away so I can make a quick small batch of stock to go with dinner. And starting our stock off right here. However, I can get into searing those hind legs now because those are going to take the longest to cook. Those hind legs have been bouncing around all over the place. They've gotten all the work. The rest of the muscles haven't worked half as much. So hopefully you're having a good evening tonight, Rhino. Nice. Yeah, I've gotten all sorts of cleaning done the last. I rearranged my entire bedroom. Moved all the books that. Got a couple dozen cooking books and other books, and college books, and all that stuff. Went through and cleaned all of them and moved all of them from one side of the room to the other. Discovered I have a whole bunch of extra room after moving my bed. See how our oil's doing here. Still not quite warm. Set some paper towel here aside to dry these off as much as possible, since drier meat will give us a much better sear. That also seems to be my MO with cleaning. Is I deal with stuff until I can't deal with it anymore. I also have a habit of putting things in my way so they irritate me so that I deal with them. Salt our hind legs here. Add these in. So I'm going to leave the saddle meat for later, but I'm going to sear out both the front and the hind legs. And they're going to get the most cooking. The saddle I'm going to just going to chop up and sort of throw in towards the end and make sure it just sort of cook through, because the saddle, this nice meat that's all on the back of the animal, is all the stuff that's gotten the least amount of work in its life. And so it's going to be the least tendon buildup, less. It's not going to be as fibrous, it's not going to be as hard, doesn't need to be broken down as much. I've got a pile of bags in the front of my house right now here. It started off as my quarantine of stuff that I didn't wanted to just leave there, and it's turned slowly into just a pile of empty bags that I haven't dealt with. So I'm lucky I actually found a rabbit, because I procrastinated hard on this one. I picked up the rabbit yesterday after calling around, and I already had checked earlier at 2 places and couldn't find one. And so thankfully found a local butcher that's got one. Here in the US, all of our rabbit is being raised to be slaughtered. However, in many parts of Europe, they have animal issues. I mean, they overgrow. There's too many rabbits, and so they need to slaughter them. And so there is wild harvesting of rabbits. I have not checked that 100% of the U.S. is not wild, but I mean, you can go out hunting a rabbit too at the same time, but also put up the wine this evening. We've got the winemaker select Cab Sav tonight. It's got a pretty fancy label to it, but I don't remember the price I paid for it. But as I normally say, I don't pay usually much more than $10 for wine. That's a new one. Printing on the end of the cork with the looks like a real cork too, which sounds like a real cork. Oh hey, it's a real cork. We have Forest Glen, which I think is another fictional city here in the area. Nope, really need a little bit longer on that one. I can throw these in there though. Ooh. Nice and dark fruit with this. Dark. Almost oily dark. A little spice for a cab. Zesty. Our stock is obviously up to boil. Pull these off for the moment, set them aside. Give these guys a little bit more of the show here in the pan. Turn the heat down on our stock. I'll throw a garlic clove in there too. I don't normally throw garlic in my stocks, but this ain't a large batch. I'll just do a skin and all too since it's stock. Have a good one, Rhino. Thanks for stopping by. I'm a bit short on onion, otherwise I'd be throwing onion in the pan here. But instead we got other veggies to work with. So, cut up these other 2 carrots right in here. Nice big pieces, but still bite-sized, still fork-sized. Got a couple potatoes here to cut up and do. Let's throw the carrots in the pan first. Cast irons hold such great heat. I mean, I had that off the entire time I was over here cutting the carrots. Put it right in there, still sizzling. I actually don't know how much potato I want to do up here. I don't know if I want to really do much more than 1 or 2. Taters. Cool purple effect to those guys. Excuse me. Carrots back there getting quiet. You still awake back here, carrots? Add in our potatoes and greens. Let's see how our carcass is looking down here. That's looking nice. We can go with that. Nice roasty toasty carcass there. I'll drop that in with our stock here. That should be a little bit warmer than that. I had that up to a good boil earlier. Hot pan feels good on the hands. Yay, yay. Okay. So this is going to be a really quick and informal stock to just give some liquid, some flavor. We got most of the flavor that I'm really intending to get into it with a little carrot and celery as the background, but get a little rabbit flavor in there, and once we're about an hour in on that simmering, I'll add it in with the other rabbit to the stew. Normal stock you would want to do several hours. I would probably think most smaller ground animals like chicken and rabbit are really they have very similar diets. They have very similar. Chickens are a little bit more nastier, but so they're very similar in flavor, texture. The animals they're not too different, but lost track of where I was going with that. But so with the chicken stock. So I'm equating rabbit to chicken basically for stock. Probably want to go at least 6 hours to get a proper cook, to do a proper stock. But just to give us a little flavor here with our rabbit, I don't think that'll be too much of a problem. I am going to add a little bit of wine. That'll tide us over until we get started here. With the stock. Okay, put these guys back away. Let's pull this out. Clean off our board real quick. So I got some leftover cinnamon roll dough here, and I had the thought / inspiration to. I've tried to do this once before with a little less professional slice of dough, or a version of dough. So I'm going to do really thin slices here, and pack it into a pie tin. And turn this into a crust. Hopefully there's enough material here for me to do this. That's my one big risk and fear here. Although it is a yeast dough, so it should nice and puff up. Pie tin. So yeah, I'm just gonna set these in there nice and carefully. And this is obviously slicing much easier because it's nice and refrigerated. it would not be so cooperative if it was a fresh dough. Getting pretty close here. Don't know if we're really going to make it up the sides. I guess that's sort of working our way up the sides there. So I got that going there. Take a piece of parchment, put that over the top, and weigh it down with my pie weight rice. I'll line bake it. And even though it didn't really fill up the pan, we'll go with it anyways. And then I gotta get those out. I have peanut butter. And another block of cream cheese still around. want both of those to be up nice and room temp. Pull those out of the fridge. And so I figure I can just do a like no bake interior there, do cream cheese, peanut butter, and some whipped cream. And there we go. I'll just leave that to rust, and as I said before, that's a yeast dough, so I'm going to give it a good 20 minutes here to allow that to warm up and maybe do a little bit of proofing. I doubt it's going to do a whole lot since I've had it in the freezer, but maybe we'll get a little bit out of it. Maybe it'll surprise us. Maybe it'll surprise me. So that's all set to go, and want to do that, just turn the oven back on here. 350 sounds okay. Stock is looking quite good too right now. Quite happy with how this quickly made stock turned out looking. Got some nice color to it already. We'll keep letting that simmer. I'll keep letting that simmer. Need more water. Got that rabbit all looking nice and happy. A little liquid in the bottom of the pan there, slowly stewing all those veggies. Slowly cooking that meat. So I think I am going to take a moment here while this is simmering away here and AFK for a moment. I'm going to leave you with the stove and board, and we'll add the mute symbol in there. All right. Hi there again. I think I still want to give that another good, actually 10 to 20 minutes still. Because I do think that's going to puff up a little bit. Got our carrots down here already looking gorgeous. I think it's because I've been cleaning up so much stuff around my house, but my sinuses have been going nuts. I used to have all sorts of allergies and issues when I was a kid, and this last week and a half, I've been feeling that like the same way again. And again, I know that isn't the whole Rona thing. That's all in the lungs. It's all your throat, your lungs, your breathing. I'm just slowly adding more liquid here as we go along. I can also put this so you can see what I'm doing here. I got the cinnamon roll dough with our rice, my cooking weight rice. It's already all charred and browned from butter and oils from other past cooking adventures. But letting that, since this is a yeast dough, I'm going to let this proof a little bit. Put with some weight on it so it proofs into a nice bowl, hopefully. This is my second attempt at doing this type. First time I did it with more of a like layered dough. It wasn't a yeast dough, it wasn't a cinnamon roll, but I did a sort of cinnamon roll with it. And I tried to do it, and it turned out pretty well. But I'm trying out new things here too with doing actual cinnamon roll dough. Anyone got any questions? Smiling at family holiday photos. That's not what I wanted to open. Wow. Alright, I think I'm going to go with it with the pie dough and throw this in there. Set a 15-minute timer. I want to take a quick walk around outside and grab myself a little bit of fresh time. Beautiful time from my garden. This is one of the things that's different between like commercial grown vegetables and the ones you do at home. They would never grow a plant like this for you to be sold commercially. I mean, it doesn't have nice individual stems that they can. It's all twisted together into a bunch of different layers. They want nice, easy to harvest, simple veggies for the supermarkets. Sort of like these have a nice little purple color to their underside of their leaves. got another 7 minutes or so on that crust before I take a look at it. Thank you for the follow, Mr. Sinister. Happy Easter. So I got some, if I wasn't clear with this earlier, I've got some peanut butter and cream cheese that I'm mixing together really quick, really well together here. And I'm then going to fold in both a little cream and whipped cream to lighten the whole mixture up, and I'm going to use that to fill the pie that I have in the oven, which is using up leftover cinnamon roll dough. Let's see what we got. We have cinnamon rolls, but how toasty are we looking here? Not toasty enough. I want to go a little longer with that. Giving this a good shake because the heavy cream that I get from this dairy has cream top to them. Well, milk definitely does. Sometimes the cream does. So I'm going to use just a little bit of this just to loosen things up. I'm going to whip up the rest here in a little bit and fold the rest of that in here, but the little bit of this here is going to compensate and probably deflate the rest of it a bunch less. Hey BU, thank you for the host. Let's use a large bowl. Need a coated whisk for this. And to give my arm a mid whipping break, add a bit of, take a moment to turn down our oil down here a little bit on these guys. And add a bit of powdered sugar to the cream. Highly precise measuring there to the exact gram. Same thing for the salt. Take a look at our pie dough. It's been almost another 10 minutes now. Oh yeah, that's looking good. I think we're good there. Let's see, yeah. Got some nice coldness to the sides. Oh, I don't know. I think I'm tempted to still let that go another 5 minutes or so here. It's got a little nice browning, and we could certainly get away with pulling it out now and living with it right now, but I think we can do a little bit better. I'm not going to use all of this whipped cream with the filling, but I'm going to use a good portion of it. Going to reserve a little bit for garnish. Just a little bit. Now at about soft peaks. I'm going to whip it until it's practically butter. And it starts tearing is generally what I'm looking at, and we're pretty much right there where it actually looks like the streaks are torn. They're like ripping instead of just being strands. Okay. So add, you know what, I think I want to add a little bit more. I think I'm going to add a little half and half to this to loosen this up a little bit more. This is still pretty heavy duty stuff. smell the cinnamon now from the cinnamon roll. Turn that off, but I think we're good now. I think we're nice and crispy. Didn't quite get a perfect coverage on the whole pan. I was working with scraps of cinnamon roll dough here, but let that cool down a little bit before I take my high weight rice out. Okay, that's much better. Taking at least 2/3 of this. Leftover heavy cream, but considering I didn't measure how much I did in the first place. Still looking streaky to me. I don't know if it is on the camera still, but that's why I'm still going with this. I'll live with that. After we move it into the pie tin, that'll be great. I'm going to throw this in the fridge to chill out and relax a little bit while the pie dough cools down. Not bad for going at a blind recipe. That's pretty tasty. So if you weren't following there, that's a peanut butter and cream cheese that I mashed together really well, and then added some sweetened whipping cream into it, and some regular cream in half and half to lighten it up before I added the whipping cream in. Put that in the fridge. Stew is still looking lovely here. And that's all of our leg meat with the veggies simmering away. I think it's about time that I chopped up and added in the saddle meat. saddle meat being the back meat and the stomach meat to the rabbit. If you're just joining me now, you can check the beginning of the VOD once I'm done here with how I butchered the rabbit. This is sort of the first thing I did in the video. I sort of wanted to get it out of the way because I can understand it being squeamish for a certain percentage. And again, while I'm sure this was probably a well pastured and well cared for animal, rabbits, you do want to be careful with touching with your bare skin, because I am forgetting the exact name of the disease. Starts with a T, that you can get from touching infected meat with your hands. No, I'm not interested in talking to you, assistant. Still want to give this a little bit of a long cook, but we really wanted to get the long cook on the legs, which is the meat that's really moving. Very chicken-like in taste and texture, but and I know that's always the joke, it tastes like chicken, but I mean, if you think about it, they're basically eating much of the same stuff. They're pecking at the small forage and ground. Though the chickens do like their bugs a little bit more. So, I mean, they have a very similar diet. I'm just going to slowly let that all simmer in with everything else here. I'm not even going to sear it. Give this guy one more rinse off. casually. Just put that in. I'm tempted to throw that back in the oven there with the rice out of it. I think I'm going to do that. Hope everyone's having a lovely evening tonight. Enjoying this wine. I haven't said much about it. I said much at the beginning about it, but nice and dark. It's got a nice little punch to it, especially for a cab. How did I get the rabbit? I bought it from a butcher. They are widely available, especially this is not necessarily the greatest time of year to get them, but they are readily available pretty much year round. In the U.S., primarily, they are grown for sale, whereas several places in Europe, they are so overgrown that they're a burden, and so that they're actually, much like we do with deer here, they need to hunt them in order to keep the population down. But the only really major difference between that and the other ones is because I wasn't 100% sure where this one came from, I didn't ask the butcher where he got it from. I trust the butcher. I buy a bunch of stuff from the butcher anyways. Oh yeah, you can buy them at a supermarket if it's the right time of year. Well, that's the ultimate hookup there. That's the cheap way. I mean, you only have to do about 2 minutes more work than I did in order to get the skin off of it. But if you are hunting them and you are using wild meat, you do the thing with, as I was saying before, with wild rabbit especially, is you want to be careful because they can be infected, and I'm forgetting what they can be infected with. Starts with a T. It's spread by ticks, and so I mean, even if it's farm raised rabbit, there is that chance because it's ticks. You're not going to get rid of ticks, and so you don't want to handle the meat directly with your hands when it's raw. Perfectly fine when it's cooked. Delicious when it's cooked. I wouldn't even consider myself an amateur hunter, but yeah, there's not much there to miss, unless you hit the head pretty much right on. So are they a hindrance where you live? Like I said, in Europe, I know that they have to hunt them and keep population down. I was actually sort of shocked. I mean, YouTube is pretty stringent on its whole animals and death things. And they got some pretty graphic rabbit butchery on YouTube. Who's that is what? I've forgotten what I said already. I have no memory. I have zero memory. Well, I have some memory, but most of it's for food techniques. Oh. Do I have an intruder in my house? I live alone. You trying to get me scared of ghosts? I live in Sebastopol, California. It's a small little town in Sonoma County. It's sort of it's a small town, but it's right next to the sixth largest city in Northern California, which compared to San Francisco. And decent number of people, but it's still on the edge of country, sort of on the cusp of between the two. I live in a small little granny house behind another house where I have neighbors, so people always looking over the property. See how our crust is looking. Oh, I think that'll work. We don't need a lot of browning in the bottom. They seem to be nicely cooked. Yeah, I think that'll work. So, just enough that we cook the dough through. It's on the edge and through right there, but I think we'll be good after it carryover cooks a little bit. But it's nice. I mean, even though the rest of the world is shut down, I still was able to go to the farmer's market this morning. Which, normal times I'll go to the farmer's market 3+ times a week. But year round. But right now I'm only going out of the house once every couple of weeks, so turn the oven off since I don't need that on anymore. The truth is that Sonoma pretends to be a lot more rural than it is. I mean, it's a high ag county that's run by a bunch of rich people. I mean, it's all winemakers and dairy and beef producers. So they all have tons of land and money galore. Yeah, I've sort of looked out what this whole scenario is in that, you know, I'm okay, and I live alone in my own small little home here. I mean, the cameras here are covering probably about a third of my house. Works out nicely. Got my own little bunker here. And I've been lucky enough to be able to do a few sporadic shopping lists in order to keep doing streams without, I mean, I could live another couple of months here probably on ramen and eggs and stuff like that, but that wouldn't be very exciting for you guys. Okay, our potatoes are cooked through. Our rabbit is well done. All the other parts that I threw in there are nice and cooked through now. So I'm going to cut the heat on that. clean off this plate real quick. No, that's good. Let's see here. I take the large pieces of rabbit back out here. We had our hind legs with all the meat on them, but have done all the work, so they're toughest parts. We got the front legs, which that's looking like some nice meat right there. That's looking yummy right there. No, not quite. Thank you for the host, Francois. I've probably forgotten more than I know about meat, but I'll take a shot. Gonna add a bit of salt here. Got a good amount of flavor here, so not a ton of salt, but a little bit extra here. Little MSG, because why not? It's me. I add MSG to everything. A little fresh cracked pepper. I don't know what a turkey dinosaur is to begin with. Excuse me. And then, of course, finish our stew off here with a little bit of butter. Just a little bit. And I don't know if you can tell on camera, but that just immediately gives that liquid this like extra gloss. It probably does come on camera because it probably reflects the light a little bit better. But that butter just gives your sauces all amazing, just like crystal. I would have no clue then, because I have no idea what it is. I don't mind the idea of fried turkey. People try it every year and burn their houses down. This is still a bit too warm here to add our filling in there, but we're basically done otherwise. Got our rabbit stew nice and simmering away there. And I think all the large pizzas got enough cooked time that they've broken down and cooked nicely. Favorite meat? I probably go towards pork. I eat a lot of pig. Are what you eat. But I do a fair amount of chicken. I do a fair amount of pig. I do probably more lamb and goat than your average person. And I mean, your average person probably isn't cooking rabbit these days, but I toy around a little bit of everything. Don't do a ton of beef, more because I don't have great sources for local beefs that I trust, and much rather go for the other stuff that's coming from local farmers. I know where the stuff's coming from. I now know how it's being raised. I know what it's being fed. There's been recent changes in California's laws. Up until just a couple months ago, I had been doing basically a bi-monthly meat CSA, or if you're familiar with CSAs as far as farms, where you do a sort of like, you pay, it's sort of like a monthly subscription. You give them whatever fee and you get a box of whatever they produced. And I had a meat CSA set up where I was paying them and picking up a satchel of meat every other week. And that was all locally raised chicken, lamb, goat, and pig from a farm less than 20 minutes from here. But unfortunately, laws have changed, and they have had to go to an even larger bulk system in order to survive. What happened is the only producer here in Sonoma went from accepting small farms to no longer accepting small farms, themselves most likely to survive, but still everyone's mad at them. And so all of our local producers here that are growing livestock are now looking at having to truck their livestock 500 plus miles to get it legally slaughtered. Really, you like the cheapest chicken meat available that's been, yeah. I'm sorry. That's okay, I don't want your medical bills when you get older. Sorry, tempted to cook a little rice to go with this. Yeah, we got potatoes and turnip in there. I think we're okay on our starches. Just waiting for this to cool down to the point that I don't think it's going to destroy the cream when I add into it. I want to show you guys the final pie here, but Yeah, not a big curly fry. Well, curly fries are typically better than your average fast food fry. So I'll give you that. Um, they won't stand up to a Five Guys, though. And I don't know why In-N-Out bothers with those junk shoestring fries. They're horrible. Don't know that I like really any of the chicken guys. The only real advantage that they have over the home cook is they have pressure oil fryers. KFC doesn't sell anything but mashed potato bowls these days. I mean, they really have no business other than that these days. No, people don't go buy their chicken anymore. It's all their quick pre-made products. I should do more frying again. It's been a little while since I fried anything. People all love when I fry things on stream. Add these back in so they stay nice and warm. Yeah, I've done duck on stream. I spent the better part of 2 weeks doing a duck confit, and then took the duck confit and turned that into a cottage pie, sort of like a shepherd's pie, where did mashed potatoes over the top with a confit stew underneath. Turned out great. It was delicious. I still have some duck stock in the freezer. Good stuff. It's a very interesting meat because, I mean, you expect it to be, it's a duck, you expect it to be more like a chicken. I've been sitting here saying all stream that rabbit's like chicken, but it's not, because it's got a lot more, I don't know if it's iron, but I want to say it's iron. It's got a lot more heaviness to it. It's a lot deeper, redder meat. It's a little bit more like beef than it is chicken. Yeah, I haven't done much hunting. I have a lot of respect for hunting. I just haven't. And that's even with having in the past lived in Michigan and other heavy New York, heavy places where you do see hunting. I was living in upstate New York, not New York City. I think I can maybe squeeze that. It's still a little warm to the touch, but I think I can get away with throwing that on there. So we got peanut butter, cream cheese, and whipped cream mixture here. Not only, but primarily, I will say it's been probably almost since the beginning of the year since I ate out. This is really what I've been doing for years. I cook myself 2 or 3 large meals a week. And so the streaming is just adding the cameras to the whole deal. It's just more economical here that way because, Sonoma County, the cost of labor, I've owned businesses here in Sonoma County. I worked out of the farmers markets for the last 5 years. Getting people to work for you, getting labor in this county, there's next to no, you have the chains here, but they're like 1 or 2 in the entire county. There isn't labor here for the restaurant industry or that, even without what's going on right now. So it's sort of an economic necessity for me because going out to eat at the restaurants is just not financially feasible for me. I can buy things in bulk, I can buy things with good deals, and like I said, I've been working at farmers markets for the last 5 years, so I know all the local small farms and stuff like that. I get great deals on a lot of produce. I get a lot of great deals on fresh veggies. So it's my way of working it out. In turn, while my waistline has not gotten any thinner, I do eat much better this way. The food that I'm eating is much better for me than the cheapest meats you can find. And we actually had a issue here with a meat packing plant in Sonoma a couple years ago. Ended up being shut down by the federal government because they were they were processing cancerous cows off on lunch hours and stuff. But to give you an idea of what Burger King and McDonald's and them do, what you're eating when they do that, when you're eating their meat. That plant had days when they handled the local farmers, and whether they were the large local farmers or the small local farmers, and they had days that they handled the dairy farmers. And so the days they handled the dairy farmers, all they got all day long were the cows that have been milked for months, if not years, had multiple babies, had been well worked. And that was the meat that's going to the fast food companies. Got a little messy there. And unfortunately, I whipped my whipped cream so much that it broke. Another thing I actually posted on my personal Facebook is how many local family businesses do you see helping out, cooking food for hospitals, cooking food for first responders, the doctors? How many McDonald's and how many Burger Kings and Chipotle's do you see doing that? Well, that's just the other problem of dealing with teenager cooks. I've got my photos here for the Instagrams, which hopefully you guys will give me a look on. Mostly use Twitter to let people know special things coming up or if I've got issues with the stream. And I've got a calendar set up if you want alerts to remind you when I'm doing my streams normally. I'd like to thank all you guys for joining me this evening. Thank you for all the lovely hosts. Thank you for the new follows. And I'd like to wish you all a great night. I'm going to go and enjoy this rabbit stew. Nice chillax. Thank you for joining me this evening. I'm gonna throw this in the fridge, actually allow this to continue to set up a little bit more. And I'll have a photo slice of this a bit later on. And so, once again, I hope you all have a lovely evening. I will take a look and see if there's anyone out there to give a host to. Otherwise, I'm going to leave you guys with my slideshow of past food photos. Thanks and have a great night.